LinkedIn, Dave Wilson, the Ringer Hire Show. Hey, how you doing, Amy? We got
I'm
Amy
great. How
Jones
are
in the
you?
house.
I'm
How you
excited
doing?
about this show.
Good. I know this is one of our favorites, and we have a special guest tonight. Wendy Short. And how's it going, Wendy? You a little nervous or not?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Not used to
Uh,
doing this, but I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Tonight's show is great, everybody, and this is me and Amy have been talking about. We've been planning with Wendy to do a live interview on LinkedIn, and I got to give you credit to come on here, and you're just going to answer some questions, but they're not going to be that hard, but we'll try to keep them good for you, okay? But
Okay.
everybody knows the drill. We'll be right back after this video. So how'd you like that? How'd you like that video, Wendy?
That was quite an intro. It's hard to follow.
Isn't it? Tonight we're just going to jump right into everything. And Wendy, why don't you just introduce yourself and where you're at, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I live in the Austin, Texas area. I have a bachelor's of science. I have a master's of science. They're both from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And the reason for that is I spent my first part of my career in the aviation field. But I've been a project manager for about the last 20 years. I've worked in lots of genres. I've worked in IT. I've worked in aviation, medical, telemetry, pharmaceutical. I've worked in
Wow.
all of those, implementing solutions for companies, products that I've been working on with customers during implementations. So that's what I do.
All right, that's what you do.
So tell me about how you got started in project management. Why that?
I went back to work after having a family because in aviation I didn't start out as a project manager, but I ended up working at the beginning of my career on an airport. So I was an assistant airport director, but in reality, now that I look back on it, it was actually a project manager on an airport. So when I moved from airport management, I cut my teeth, so to speak. I gave my resume to actually my neighbor. And I said, could you help me? I'm just getting stuck because there's no other aviation positions that seem to work for what I'm doing. And she says, oh my gosh, you're a project manager. And I said, no. I work with aviation. I work with airplanes. So I don't know about this project management stuff. And she said, believe me, you have skill sets that are project management written all over it. So she helped me with a resume, and I applied to Express Scripts, which had a project manager opening. And I was there for about 5 years. So that's how I kind of transferred from aviation, if you will, to project management. So
for that part, I had a question. We know project management, that can mean just so many different things in so many different fields. Do you find that I know you have so many great things on here in project management, aviation, airport management, business, pharma. You were in with the pharma training specialist. You've been in a lot of different fields with project management.
I have, and I did that on purpose. It's not because I wanted to, just make everything hard for myself by going to so many different genres. But when I started with project management in Express Scripts, I knew that probably wasn't going to be my fit, if you will. I think it's really, really important to be a fit for a company both ways. So I knew I wanted to gain experience doing other genres. So that's where I decided I'm just going to try really hard. And when I move positions or move companies, to try and get a different genre until I feel that natural fit. That's like,
Nice.
I love it here. I mean, and you get up and you go to work and you go, okay, this is great. So that's why I have all the different genres. So
Okay.
I
So
love it. I love it.
tell me about the project that you were most proud of.
most proud of, there's a couple of them, but I would probably say the one that I'm most proud of is sits at the base of St. Louis, Mississippi River, and it's a floating barge that houses a helicopter, for fee
Wow.
helicopter riding scenic ride company. They they had nothing there, and it sits at the base of the arch, the St. Louis Arch. And when I worked at the airport, that was one of my projects because my boss said, "Wouldn't it be cool to have? Did you ever think about a floating barge?" And I said, "No, not really." He said, "Wouldn't it be cool? It'd be a way of revenue for the airport, and we could generate scenic helicopter rides over, the stadium and around, St. Louis Zoo and Forest Park and all those things." And I said, "Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome." Well, I know when you do that now, that
Right.
usually becomes your next project. So that was a 3-year project, and I believe the budget was over $2.5 million. So
Wow.
it just started from nothing to trying to vet, how do you buy a barge? What kind of barge do you get? What kind of barges are there? Where are they at?
Yeah, I
Um,
wouldn't even know. I wouldn't know.
no. How do you get the ticketing house on top of the barge? You can't just like drag it on there with some chains. You need to hire a crane. How do you hire a crane? Where are the crane people? How do you do the it was everything from how to paint the barge correctly with the FAA to getting the regulatory sign-offs with the FAA. It
That's
was
gotta be something when you go into that, just to know the right questions, know the right people. Like, I mean, again, that project management, as I've learned of doing the shows, and it opens the door to everything. And it's like, all right, how do you go into a new field? Like when you go into that field, you just, I guess you got that skill set behind you that you know what's going to be done. And I'm sure you work with the management teams. One of the great questions I love asking people is to get to know the real you is if I had 10 of your friends and 10 of your family right now and you weren't here, what would they tell me about you?
My friends would probably say, I'm organized, I'm detailed. They'd probably say I'm genuine. Um, yes, I'm genuine. I'm helpful. As far as friends, I would think colleagues would probably add to it and say I'm kind of genuine. I try and make project meetings easy to follow.
Right.
Part of project management is knowing how much of the PMBOK to use and how much personalizing you need to make the project team just really run like just peanut butter. It just
Yeah.
it just works. So I think they would say that. Um, my family, they'd probably say pesky, persistent, never gives up, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
um, but usually they would probably say, uh, they've actually told me I'm intelligent, but I'm not prideful.
Right.
And then I'm very resourceful. I'm able to investigate resources that solve a problem, no matter if it's on work, off work, my own work, their help. If somebody's got a problem, I'm always going. I listen, but I'm always in the frame of, okay, how can we fix this?
Right.
It's just what I do.
Just what you do, I can imagine. Now, I always say, "Wonder what my family would say about me," or because I don't really have many family members anymore, and I got some friends, but you always say that, like, "What do you think they say behind your back?" Or what do they say, So that's I like the answer. I like how when you say family, you see how they smile and they start laughing, and because you're
Yes.
always wondering what's a crazy family member gonna say about you. But no, I like the answer to
Pesky,
that.
persistent,
Yep.
doesn't let
So,
So
anything go, things
yep,
like that.
yep.
Wendy, I lived in St. Louis for a while, and so it's near and dear to my heart. So everything that you were talking about in that floating barge, I'm like, yep, I'm so it's very heartful for me. So I appreciate that. So my next question is, so you just shared the most
Yeah.
project you were proud of. What was the most challenging project and why?
Mm. The one that comes to mind is when I was working at Express Scripts as a project manager. I was in a pool of project managers. I think there was like 64 of us. So you could ask
Big.
friends, coworkers, how would you do this? I'm stuck on that. Help me with this, that type of thing. But mostly you were kind of on your own with a very large checklist to implement with a team that was given to you. So my job was to implement pharmaceutical plans for companies, like any company that, you have your ID card, and when you want to go to the doctor, it just seems to work. You pay your
Right.
$30 copay and off you go. But a lot of that, there's a lot of work on the backside of that, getting that card to work, getting the advertising and the letters appropriate to the people before that January starts, January 1, getting it built in the machine so when they do have a claim come through it, it actually adjudicates correctly. So
Right.
there's a lot to learn on the backside of that. Um, so I had a company I was working with, just like any other implementation, and I had, everybody has their own swim lane. The communication person does this, the eligibility person does that, everybody does their own little thing, and we just keep moving on until we're ready to go live. So part of it is an eligibility person that keys in everybody's name, their social, their address, how old they are, where they
Oh,
live, all these things that make it so everybody gets their letter in time. So apparently, unbeknownst to the team and the person who was keying it in, um, they took information and flip flopped it in the wrong spot. So they put a social security number where a zip code was going. And what it does is on the top of your letters, there's a whole bunch of letters and a whole bunch of numbers that are written, and it means something, not to the average Joe Blow, but to people that either run the postal service and deliver your mail, or what happened was some people started noticing my social security number is in the window of this envelope, and
oh,
why is that? So Express Scripts started getting customer calls about why is this happening, and it made the news. I think it was in Minnesota, actually, the company
wow.
was. And so I got a call from a higher level manager, and that I hardly talked to, and they wanted me to fix it. They told me this is a problem, fix it. And I thought, wow, how did you don't know how that happens, so I pulled the team together quickly. Of course, nobody knew what was happening. And I said, that's not the right answer. We're going to sit on this call and we're going to sit on this meeting until we figure it out every day. And I don't care. And we don't have much time. And so we eventually just took it apart and figured out it was the eligibility person. And then we just deciphered his spreadsheet and realized that he flipped the two columns. And so their social security number was where their zip code should have been, and then it plasters it on top of their name on that little, line on
I
your window
cannot even
envelope.
imagine that. I can't even imagine it.
Yeah. So I had to figure out not only the mistake and why it happened, but how are we going to never have this happen again? Because it really cost the company a lot. It was news up there. It was embarrassing. I met I met people in legislature or regulatory people that I didn't even know existed in Express Scripts, and they wanted to know how I'm going to fix this. So, we came up with a fix, and we just from then on we wrote it into our checklist that everybody used, that part of the implementation must have senior management or a higher manager actually look at it and sign off on it with their name on the checklist. So if it
Something simple.
happens, then we have a double set of eyes looking at it. But we
That
had to
is
send
awesome.
out, we had like 10,000 errors, so we had to send out 10,000, apology letters, and there was a lot to it.
I can
So,
imagine.
yeah.
Before I ask the next question, I did tell you, look at that. Kenny did come on the show. This is Kenny's. You got to love this guy here. He is Dave Wilson, truly such a beautiful gem of a gentleman, human being, a friend of mine to millions who shares his goodness. I swear, Kenny, you write the best words. But Kenny, quick question for you. Wendy's in Austin. Where are you in Texas, and what hospital do you work at? So if you could reply back to that. And then we got Bill. He's in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. He's a great colleague. And these are great colleagues that you want to connect with on LinkedIn.
That'd be
Oh,
great.
oh, look at that. Say Dave's. Oh, all right, I'll take that one, Bill,
He
because I
just
didn't see
gave
that
you a
one.
compliment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw this
exactly.
one. Okay, so we'll wait for back on Kenny for that. I know you're going to know where he's at. What are some of your, if you were to say, you feel your strong strength, your core strengths, like what would you say in that interview? What do you do best at? Do you feel your passion, even?
Um, well, my passion is having the team trust me and I have a very good way of having my team get work done on time. And I
Right,
don't usually ever have to go to any manager or higher up. It just works. There's a couple of things I use in my little toolbox that aren't they're just project management tools that I've learned along the way that it always
right,
seems to be process good work. I feel like I'm dependable in getting those projects done. I think I understand new ideas and projects well because I've worked in so many different genres. I've had to just sometimes hit the ground running when I'm hired.
right.
And I think one of my biggest strengths is I feel like I can eventually, it may not start out immediate, but I can turn chaos into calm within a project. So I get handed out a lot of, sometimes I get handed
Wow,
one off projects once a boss understands how I work. And then all of a sudden I get these one off projects that are a mess. And then they want me to just, well, can you just fix it and finish it?
love it.
It's like, well,
No, that
yes, I need to dig into it and figure out what's causing all the chaos, and then we fix the chaos, and then we can move on. So
Love it. That's a strength. I mean, just the way you said it, you just said it, it came right out, and you can just tell. I can imagine. I can't even imagine being in those positions. But like you said, if you have those tools and that's in your background, it just comes easy to you probably.
it seems to. It seems
So,
to.
Wendy, tell me, like, what industry are you looking into? What types of jobs are you looking at? Can you give us and the viewers an idea of what you're looking for?
Sure. Well, if you were looking at titles, of course, it would be something like project manager, senior project manager. I was at my last position. I was a senior project manager in IT. Um,
Right.
Program management would be something I would love to move into. That's managing maybe a couple of project managers of their projects. There's usually always somebody that's over me that, you just, I usually always tell them my projects are done and on time. And if I have a problem, I've already fixed the solution and I just go to them and say, can you get behind me on this? We're having a problem and this is, what I'd like to do to fix it. Is this something that you're okay with? So program managers are usually the ones that you roll that up to. So maybe an implementation project
Yeah, I
manager.
thought so
I
on
did
that one.
lots of implementations. And as far as industries, um, wow, they're varied. Most of my experience has been in either IT, either with software development or SaaS. Um, I think medical would be also very
Nice.
easy for me to roll into, whether that would be like telemetry or just, I don't know about pharmaceutical. That was a couple of jobs ago, but I have done that.
Hmm.
So
Okay. That's awesome. Kenny did respond, so I got to show you. He is located with you, 1 million, my friends. Let's see, Sugarland. That's right, Sugarland, Texas, just southwest of Houston, and
Houston.
he's MD Anderson Cancer Society.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's the best hospital in the world.
yeah, he's been there for a long time, and
Oh,
he'll always bring that up.
wow.
Um, d- if there's
Yeah.
any technical or soft skills that that I would say mastered that you set you apart.
Hmm. Um, Well, yes, I think I've obtained my PMP, so and I have turned that around because I actually liked it enough to teach college level PMP
Oh
classes.
wow.
So I've done that
Okay.
remotely. So I've done that for 7 or 8 years. Um, not related to project management. It is a technical skill. I'm a private pilot, so I can fly an airplane. So
Right, I
that's
love it. Now we're ready. Now we're ready.
I'm not looking to be a pilot as a job, but I
Okay.
certainly
Okay.
I could probably land your plane if you needed to. Um,
Love it.
um, but yeah, so as far as soft skills, I think my communication skills are they seem to be taken favorably by coworkers, whether it's keeping teams informed enough but not too
Right.
much, and how to keep all members involved in team meetings. I've been part of team meetings before I was a project manager where, you have the two people that usually talk about everything, and then the rest of us just sit around and don't really add much. I have a way, and I really try hard to pull everybody's swim lane into the project team meeting
Okay.
because it keeps everything on track all the time. Like we don't always just capitalize on this and then everything else slides off.
Mhm.
So I tried, and I think I had do a good way of motivating others without, appearing like I'm a boss. So I think I do that well,
Right.
because that allows
Love it.
me to get people to do things that are their job, not mine.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I have the flexibility to handle unexpected changes in scope because there's always a lot of scope creep in projects, and I
Right.
think it's important to kind of um, keep. I always say keep the bumpers, lined up on that bowling alley so that you can come over here, but no, we're getting way off here, so let's pull it back in, and it's my
Okay.
job to keep it, just going down the lane. So.
Love it.
So, what are you hoping to gain in or learn in your next role?
I think what I'm trying to look for is either an increased level of project management, perhaps maybe moving into the program management arena. Um, uh, I, I know that I would love to become also, another choice would be an implementation project manager because I always learn a lot from that because
Yeah, I
you're
can imagine the
implementing
startups.
yeah, you're implementing whatever that product or whatever that gadget, whatever that thing is that is the company's to do. That always opens up a lot of um, learning, education, and better experience for me to, move on down the line with. But my goal is actually, honestly, to hire on with a company and stay. I'm not into I don't I'm I'm good. I'm
You're
I'm a
good.
senior I'm a good. I'm a senior
Yeah.
project manager. I implement and I love what I do, so I'm really good
Right.
at staying true to a company, at least longevity wise.
There's
Right.
nothing wrong with saying that. I like saying that. That's positive. I mean, that's about
Yes.
yourself. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I love it. So, but it's got to be a rewarding job too. Like when you said the implementation, the startups and everything, it's got to be rewarding that type of work, knowing that you did that. I mean, with
Yes.
a team and from when you started that until the end. Do a lot of those projects when you do that within a company? Is it just right off to the next one? I mean, you've implemented something. How do they keep you growing like that? Is it just project after project after project?
I think they keep me growing because the jobs that I've had have increased in, like, I started it with Express Scripts in a pool of 64 others, and
Right.
we had a checklist that was like 11 pages long, and this is how you do it. You must do these things, and this is what you need to do.
Yep.
That went from a job to where it didn't have any training at all. Like I had to learn it from, and it was where I cut my teeth on IT. And then I ended up writing the
Right.
training manual for project managers. So that's how I think that the growing happens.
It
Um,
happens on there. I had
yes.
one question here I had to get to here is how do you typically approach challenges and or problem solving at work? And wow, I just came to me, but you could put that in your own personal life too. You must not be able to
Yes.
stop when you're in that job because I can fix this. Now I can fix this at home when somebody gives you a situation. But how do you approach all the challenges?
Um, when I run into a challenge at work, I think what I do is I try and take a step back first to understanding what actually is causing the problem. Is it a process issue? Is it a communication gap maybe sometimes? Or is it sometimes you don't have enough people? Like it's a resource constraint and there's just not enough to go around.
Right.
So I try and gather those facts first, talk with the folks, my team that's involved, and look at the problem from different angles before I jump to solution. So like you could take
Nice.
this even when you buy something in my personal life. It's painstaking for other people, but I love it because I look at all the different angles. I have to compare them all before I make that decision because you just never know. You know,
Before that, I
yeah,
love it.
Well,
you
I mean,
don't.
you don't know what you don't know, and that's I really enjoy project management and taking a
Yep.
project and orchestrated chaos is what I call it, and being able to you don't know what you don't know, but being able to figure out and look at it from all angles, like
Yep.
the 30,000 foot view down to the ground level, trying to figure out like what their strengths and weaknesses are, and making sure that that you where are you on task? Are you close to the deadline? Where are you on money? I mean, there's so many factors involved that it's I love it. So I was very excited about talking to you about this.
It
Yes.
is.
Well, more
Um,
often than not, challenges I think are really great learning moments, and they often lead to being a better person, better systems, stronger teams.
Mhm.
It's just it's a way to improve, not necessarily a way to go, oh my gosh, I failed. No.
Mike
Right.
says here, my superpower is assessing the current threat landscape, working with C-suite to build appropriate risk migrated cybersecurity programs. All right. I'm not
Wow.
sure where Mike. I'm not sure where you're from. I don't think he's been on the show before. I know. Oh, all right. Let's see. I also am launching bespoke musica, creating custom music songs. All right, Mike, you're over here advertising. So, Amy, did you have another question on that part?
I do. So Wendy, I have to ask you. So why would a company want to hire you?
Why would a company want to hire me? I think a company would want to hire me because I bring like a very strong mix of
Nice.
certain things, experience, leadership, and I think I do problem solving really well. I think that I've managed a wide range of projects and I've worked for lots of different genres of companies. So I think that's actually a good experience to have versus not, because I did it on purpose actually to
Right.
know where I would fit, so to speak. So I think that what really sets me apart from others is that I like to get not only the project done, but I like to try and get it done right. And sometimes you have to align your business goals or the business goals with building a strong project team along the way. So I think
Mhm.
I'm proactive and organized,
Love
and
it.
um, every company I've worked for, I've always gained the trust of my team, and that's I think where it becomes most important because once you gain the trust of a team, they'll end up doing anything for you, and they know it and you know it, and it's nice when you know that people in the end would say, I actually asked to work on her team because I know it's going to be a good project.
That's
Right.
awesome like
So
that.
yeah,
When
I love that. Yeah, you can't get many more good compliments than that.
So
that's
I
awesome.
appreciate all of that because, when you're talking about that, it reminds me of collaboration. And I think
Yep.
collaboration is doesn't get the attention that it really deserves because, I mean, you need to have the right people in
Yeah.
the right room and being able to talk amongst each other and fix the problem and together instead of having somebody
Yep.
talk at you talk to you that you're collaborating and based on everything you were talking about that is something that you had and I think that it needs to get more recognition and so really kudos to you and
Yeah.
Wendy I really appreciate having you on
Yep.
and our goal is to get you an interview and hopefully get you that job that you definitely deserve.
Thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And
This is
on
a
my
great
note, like I
start.
said, I appreciate it too because I mean, just the courage to come on. Some people, you're going to get asked these questions. How do you respond? You did great. You did great.
Thank
And I
you.
really appreciate that. And before we end, See, we told you 30 minutes would go fast. Tell us real quick about yourself again, what you're looking for, where you're located at, and then we're going to end it from there.
Okay. I am located in Austin, Texas. I'm looking for a project management position, an implementation project
Right.
manager, a senior project manager, program manager. It's all kind of in that little bucket of project management because I feel that's what I do well. And I know I can do it well for my next company. I know it.
Nice. Love it. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for everybody coming on the show tonight, even on the comment section over. Kenny, as always, Kenny, you're a great man. Bill, thanks for always coming on here also. And don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you both right after this video, okay? And as soon as I find it, here we go. Here it is. That's not it. See, I told you I'd make mistakes once in a while. Here we go.